back now. It's estimated that infertility in Africa affects 1 in 6 couples, which means in Southern Africa alone, there are 8 million people who suffer from infertility. But it's a subject that still remains taboo in many communities, with stigmas surrounding this subject.
Yeah, so we've seen married couple Pastor Jerry and Karabo Zwane have had 4 miscarriages, 1 ectopic pregnancy, tried artificial insemination twice, which did not succeed, and they are still trying.
So it was this journey that inspired the Hannah You Are Not Alone initiative, which helps couples rise above the trauma of infertility. A very good morning to Jerry and Karabo. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Weekend Dawn.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Good morning to the listeners.
Awesome.
Let's take a look at your journey, your rather personal journey that you've obviously now come out and been vocal about. How would you describe the experience that you've experienced to date with regards to infertility and perhaps trying to conceive?
I think as a couple, we never envisioned having problems with infertility. You can imagine when you're a couple and you love each other, you have a vision of having a family, and we had no knowledge about what infertility is or the struggles that we were about to get into. So it was a very difficult journey for us.
I can imagine.
So yeah, it was a shock. Nobody planned for it.
Yeah.
We were actually surprised. When we got married, we thought we'll spend some time knowing each other, forming a unit before introducing babies. So there was that period where we were ignorant, and still until we started trying. And then once we started trying on year 5 of our marriage, that's when we realized that things were not happening. So to summarize, it was a lonely journey. We feel isolated, you feel confused, and then you still have got a bit of hope, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year.
And it must have been a very expensive exercise trying other methods of trying to fall pregnant, Karabo. I can imagine IVF and all of the above. But do you think that a lot of people out there who are experiencing similar experiences, do you think that there's still hope for them out there?
There is a lot of hope out there. The most important thing is knowledge. If you know what your diagnosis is, your fertility specialist can be able to help you with treatment options that are there to help you, conceive and have a child.
I just want to look at the impact that this perhaps has on your relationship as a couple, your marriage at large. I mean, there must have been a lot of emotions that you had to overcome, not together, but probably innate as well. Guilt, I'm sure, must be top on the list there. How did you manage to heal and work together, come out stronger as you continue to perhaps find solutions to what you ultimately want?
I think the pillar of strength in our personal journey was that we were friends, or we based our relationship of coming together as friends. So it wasn't really performance driven. How big is your paycheck? How many children can you give me? So that anchor was really the pillar of our strength. So when we were facing a challenge of not conceiving, a challenge of miscarriages, we knew that we had each other as a big support structure. So our relationship didn't really, take a hit per se, because we were always together. We knew that this was a us thing. It's a common accusation that, if there is no children in a family, it's the wife's problem. But thank God, in our case, we always knew that it was a us thing. So I'm just a contributor as she is. So there is no 80-20, it was a 50-50 chance. So I think that stabilized our relationship.
Karabo, how would you describe that, the emotions you went through?
It was difficult for me because when we got married, Jerry already had a son. So it sort of put the limelight on me in terms of his family and so on. So they would ask me, what is happening? When is the child coming? And when you are unable to answer questions like that, then it becomes a daunting task to visit family, to be among them, you know, places where people can would enjoy being in the company of family would be a very difficult and emotional task for us, because we would come back with questions. When is the child coming? You guys are getting old. An African family needs a child, and those are questions that I could not answer.
Now, in terms of the support that you were for the both of each other, you were also getting support from outside. I mean, there's the family members who do understand, and the friends who do understand. How important is it to have a support structure outside of the relationship as well, to keep you two going and keep you two motivated?
Yeah, you go first.
I must confess, support is everything when couples are struggling with infertility. And we've had friends that would pray for us and pray with us, you know, even in our presence. And we would have people that we could talk to, you know, when things were not going well. You could pick up the phone and say, you know, today I'm not feeling okay. But as well, another twist is having someone that you could talk to when you seem like you have missed your period and you could be excited with. And when it's not a positive pregnancy test, then they can also be there as a form of support.
Yeah.
So that is very important. Support is vital.
You mentioned that at the start of your marriage, you did not really know about infertility and what that meant. So, I mean, walking on this journey that you have together, what's some of the important information that you garnered that assisted you and that continues to give you hope for the future?
Yeah, as Karabo said, you know, it's information. So knowledge is really key. So we relied a lot on medical professionals. So we had doctors that we see regularly. They will check us and they will do the analysis that they required. And most of the tests that was done, that gave us information to say we are both fine. So there is still hope. And then the other one, the obvious one, is just do your own reading. You know, where we've got books about this challenge. You can Google information. So there's a lot of help out there. There shows like we're gonna host next week, where people can get the information. So information is power. I know that's a cliche that's abused, but if you've got information, you've got options. So one of my lines is, when it comes to infertility, ignorance is really not bliss, because you could be sitting in the dark corner somewhere not knowing much, but there is help, there is hope.
Now, maybe you want to bring us forward now to Hannah, You Are Not Alone. How did this initiative come about, and what's the aim of Hannah, You're Not Alone?
So Hannah, You Are Not Alone is a registered NPO that was started because of the journey that we went through, realizing the lack of information, that we struggled to get information and support as well. When you looked outside through social media, and you could see that this is still a taboo and people are still afraid, you know, to talk about infertility. So Hannah, You Are Not Alone was founded 2 years ago, and the aim is to bring support to couples, emotional support, spiritual support as well. Because when we believe that when you are emotionally and spiritually fit to receive any news, you are able to tackle any challenge that will come. So that is how Hannah, You Are Not Alone was founded.
Okay.
Well, Karabo and Jerry, thank you for joining us and sharing your story, which inspires hope, it heals, and obviously looking forward to what the future prospects have in store for you. But continue to shine your light, and thank you again for sharing your story with us. 405ers, it's a wrap of the Saturday edition of Weekend Dawn.